Hello everybody, welcome back to Yunus Cake Tips. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to show you something very basic, very simple. You can also call this very first letter of the cake's alphabet or pastry's alphabet, which is sponge fingers. Some other people call lady fingers, also commonly called Savoiardi in Italy. And if you go to sort of German-talking countries like Germany, Austria, it becomes a Loffel biscuit. Every time I talk about sponge fingers, I remember my childhood. So I'd like to tell you a very short story, if you don't mind. So when I was 8 years old, I was living in a very busy part of Istanbul, and we didn't have any computer games, anything. We always go to a street, play with kids together, just the simple games, marble games or something like this. But what's interesting is I had about 50 cents, sometimes pocket money, and I put all this money to sponge fingers. We had a small little pastry shop on the corner, and I can't wait to go there and buy a couple of sponge fingers and eat them with a lot of pleasure. And without knowing that after 10 years of that time, I'm going to be working in a pastry kitchen and then doing thousands of it myself, and I can eat hundreds of it myself. So that was funny. Actually, they are quite dry because there's no fat inside, there's no oil, there's no butter. So on its own, when you're eating, it's like crumbly in your mouth and it's not really easy to swallow, and then it becomes like a very powdery in your mouth, etc. But when you eat them with the additional, like for example, creamy addition like a mousse or any other cream, etc., it absorbs the moisture from the cream, it becomes something else, it becomes much more pleasant. And also they absorb the moisture, nothing else as good as this. All right, so the very best example is the tiramisu. For example, I'm going to make a tiramisu cake for our neighbor, and I like to have the individual components of this cake give you an individual information about basics. So today will be sponge fingers, how you do it, easy. The way that how I do is quite easy because I done it thousands of them in the past. I like to share with you that simple tricks that it will a little bit different than the others. And then also I'd like to show you how to make homemade mascarpone cheese, which is a very, very good idea. And because mascarpone is very expensive, you can do it yourself without any problem. And then after that, we're going to put them together into the tiramisu cake, but all in different sections, different videos, because I want you to concentrate basics thoroughly, to learn the basics, to create other items that very easily. It's basics are fundament. You can create many, many other recipes from the basics if you know them well. Let me go through with you the ingredients first. So we have the most basic things like the egg, the sugar, and flour. So that is 3 items. It makes it finger sponge, but we have some differentiations now. We're going to separate the egg yolk and egg white, first of all. And after that, we're going to add some salt and vanilla inside as a flavor. And also, we add the starch into the flour. So actually 120 gram of the flour, half, so 60 gram starch, 60 gram flour. It makes it a little bit more finer texture in there and a bit more dry. It's a bit more absorbent also at the same time. All right. So when you look at other sources, the recipes of sponge fingers or Savoiardis, it's always the eggs separate between egg yolk and egg white. And also sugar also separate in the part of it in egg yolk, part of it in egg white. All right. So, but I like to do different, because if you take the part of the sugar away from egg white, you will not create the egg white as stiff as you put all the sugar in the egg white. So that's why I want to keep the egg white with the sugar, with the complete sugar, and I'll keep the egg yolk separate without sugar, only just mixing a little bit. You don't have to whip the egg yolk too much if you have a perfectly whipped egg white with sugar. So this is what we do. I have here 6 egg, which will be separated. And then if you have an average 50-55 gram or between 50 to 60 gram eggs, you will have 120 gram egg yolk and 180 gram egg white. So if you make a big recipes, you have to weigh the recipe according to the number, according to the gram. But if you have a small recipe like this, it is okay if a couple of gram less or more. All right. So then we have 120 gram sugar will be mixed with the egg white here. And we have a bit of vanilla, a bit of salt. I use the vanilla white vanilla powder, which is very strong. You can also use, of course, extract. And also I have the flour and starch inside here. It has to sieve, of course, always sieve. It's not only that you removing impurities, but also like you give an air inside the flour. It will easy to mix into the whipped egg white. All right. So let's get moving now. Make sure there is no egg yolk inside the egg white. Nothing at all. Not even small little drip. All right. My egg is separated, egg white and egg yolk. My flour and the starch is sifted, and my flavors are ready over here. Everything else I need ready. The only thing is that before I start whipping the egg white, I like to prepare the trays with the lines that where do I pipe the sponge finger mixture. So because it is very important that you prepare yourself, you don't have any break when you're doing that, because it is air inside. You should not lose any time when you're doing so. My oven is ready, about 190 degrees centigrade degrees, and I like to prepare my trays also. Because I'm going to make a cake, so this is a ring. I'm going to put a cling wrap inside, and I put a very soft mousse inside, and I use that coffee and everything later on. When it comes to the tiramisu section, I will show you everything. But now what I like to do, I'm going to prepare my sponge fingers exactly the way how I want it. So that will be the cake size. So let's put a line over here. All right. So when I cut the cake from the slices, when I cut the cake as a slices, I want to have that the sponge inside is present inside the cream, not sort of like the oozing out the coffee, etc. So I like to make a ring which is about slightly smaller than the cake, about this size, and I want to have one little hole in the middle, because when I'm cutting the cake like this, so what will happen, you will have a cream here, a cream there, and then sponge in the center. So that means like the cake will be like this, all right, and then the sponge here and there, and also we'll have one more sponge as a large piece underneath. So that will be then my aim, to keep the sponge inside the cake, not sort of like a touching over here on the side. All right, so that is the one I like to do on only this areas. All right, and I want to make a sponge fingers, another additional sponge fingers about this size, between this and that, for a decoration. So you will see it later. So we do this, all those pencil marking. I turn it around so I can see that from other side, and I don't have to touch the what you call the pencil marks with the edible thing. So I like to do one more here like this, because I like to have 2 plus one more. All right. So I like to have it here like this, and then sponge inside here. I start whipping the egg white without adding any sugar at all. So every 10-20 seconds I will put a little bit more sugar, and I will continue till the sugar finish. So it's almost done. So when we're adding the complete sugar into the egg white, we have a less chance to whip the egg white over. So that's already just nice. Okay, that's all right, just nice. Like it's not falling down. All right, so then I take this like this, and then go to egg yolk like that. It's already good. As you see, I'm not really whipping too white, right? That's already good enough, right? And after that, what we do, we put this one in. So if I mix this one now, to mix the egg yolk, I have to turn a couple of times and take the air out. And if I have to also add after the flour, I have to mix it further. So what I do, I just put a little bit more here. little like this, maybe half, all right? And I start mixing together like that. Because the flour and starch sieve, it's not going to be lumpy at all, all right? So I can maintain the air inside the mixture in maximum amount. A bit more. Just put it on. Just gentle, and every time you like this, give a little bit of like a motion that flour drop from the spoon. Just put a bit of salt and a bit of vanilla. We should have put it in the before, but it doesn't matter. We have still a few more turns to go. That's it. There's still unmixed flour. I will continue. That's it. We are pretty much done. All right, put this on the side. Let's start from the rings first. I have a disposable bag with number 13 millimeter round nozzle. Carefully. Okay, this is what I do. I start from the center. That's already enough for one layer. Put this on the side. Second one. When you're doing that, you make sure that you do this and get the air on the top and then squeeze it out, okay? Otherwise it's puff here. All right, that's done. Then I like to make one more complete circle for the lower level. All right. We have plenty enough. I think we can do some more sponge fingers so that I can eat myself. Remembering childhood. I'm going to put this at the lower part. Actually, I'm going to build the cake upside down so that it will be completely on top, but when I turn over the cake, it will be underneath. And I'm not going to use much coffee in here to make it like a nice and dry at the bottom, so we can cut the cake and lift up the cake. Cake slices. All right, this is good. So let's do some fingers that I can use for decoration. Okay, now. See, I'm doing one side a little bit thicker because when I put it on the cake, I want to just match to the shape of the cake. Okay, this is one. I think we have enough still for the second line. Here. Beautiful. Now we have a little bit more. What I like to do, I'm gonna put some little balls here, which can be done for something else, doesn't matter. I eat it myself. All right, All what we have to do now is this. We take some sugar. And then put some sugar on top. That gives a bit of more crust on top, an extra taste. That's it. For some cases, what we do, so if we have this, what we do, we have a tray of sugar, full of sugar. We take the sponge upside down, touch the sugar and take it out. That's why it's like some of the sponge fingers, you see are just white, sort of crusty line on top. That's the reason, because the sugar is touched to the sponge fingers, not sort of sprinkled on it. Then I put them all in the oven now. My oven is ready, 190 degrees. So I will come back to you with the baked items and tell you a couple of more words. So it is all done, guys. So I have 2 rings like this. And then I have one full size, 24 centimeter in these discs, and about 14 of them, and some round ones as you've seen. So I bake about 190 degrees, almost 10 minutes. Its inside is still nice and soft. But the disadvantage about baking too hot, it will stay soft inside, but it will be just like you will see some collapsing. All right. If you want to use it like 180 degrees, a little bit longer time, it will be also good enough. All right. So when we look at this recipe, let me just give you general information. You can make about 4 full-size 25 centimeter discs to get ready for creating some cakes, like especially biscotting cake is like very famous. You can put the biscuits and the cream in between. So instead of biscuits, store-bought biscuits, you can use these ones to make this cake. You can create different variations with that. So that is the classic tiramisu sponge fingers. You can use 50 for your desserts, or you can make a cake for 4 this 25 centimeter round discs. So that is all for me, guys, today. So next thing, I like to do some mascarpone cheese, homemade mascarpone cheese. You will see me doing that on my next video. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching me today. Until then, bye for now.